Hey guys, Ultra Maximus back with the second part of my Films of 2012 Retrospect. So let's see who continues on the list. All right, Dark Shadows with Johnny Depp. This is a Tim Burton film. It's based off of the old 70s drama, vampire drama, and they remade this back in the, I believe it was the 80s or 90s. They remade this television series, but this is the film adaptation, and it's pretty comical. I mean, they kind of put a lot of humor into it, but it's also a vampire film, and he's relatively violent as a vampire. Make no bones about it, no pun intended. You know, he is a vampire. He does eat and kill people, but it's more of him getting back in tune with his family. And it's a period piece, which is kind of nice. Back in the 70s there, late 70s, early 80s, and it just works really well. Michelle Pfeiffer, I didn't realize was in it, does a really good job. Of course, Helena Bonham Carter, Tim Burton Squeeze is in it. We've, of course, got Danny Elfman doing the music. But I will tell you, the one that really kind of sticks out to me is, I believe her name's Chloe Grace Moretz, the little girl, the teenager in this. She was in Kick-Ass. She played the girl in Kick-Ass, and she does a really good job in this film as well. So, very big surprise to me. I didn't think I was going to like it. Turned out I really did. So, definitely give it a check out. All right, Men in Black 3 in 3D. The 3D looked really good, and this was a fun film. It wasn't the best of 2012, but it was definitely a fun little ride. It was nice to go back to the Men in Black universe and see what's going on. And Tommy Lee Jones is looking a little old in the film. And I gotta say, Josh Brolin nails Tommy Lee Jones' character as a younger version on the dot. In fact, if they ever do a biopic of Tommy Lee Jones, they have got to hire Josh Brolin. And he and Will Smith do a really good job together. They've got really good chemistry, and it's a different type of chemistry that Smith has with Tommy Lee Jones' Tommy Lee Jones' version of the character. So while it is fun, I will say it's a little bit washed out because it is the third in a series of films, and after a while, I mean, it is what it is. But definitely, it was fun to go back one more time. All right, Finding Nemo 3D. Disney has been on a kick of releasing their films in 3D. They've been converting a lot of their films to 3D, which is really nice. They started with, I think it was Lion King, and they did, oh, what was the other one? Nightmare Before Christmas. And this was the one I was really looking forward to. I love Finding Nemo. I think it is a fantastic story. It's a great cartoon, great Disney Pixar film, and in 3D, it looks amazing. This converts so well. The scenes with the birds and the out in the ocean, and the fish and the little specks and all that kind of stuff just look fantastic in 3D. If you hadn't seen it, I think it's still playing at the second run theaters. Go check it out, and definitely go get the Finding Nemo 3D Blu-ray because it is very cool, very nice, and I'm going to be doing a 3D review on it very shortly. Right, Raiders of the Lost Ark. This got a re-release in IMAX this year, which was fantastic. I went and seen it. Looks as good as it ever does. And I'm not really sure why it was this year it was re-released, as last year, 2012, I guess 2 years ago now, 2011 would have been its 30th anniversary, but for some reason they waited until 2012 to release it in IMAX. Maybe the conversion was some kind of an issue, I'm not really sure, or they were picking up with the fact that E.T. was also re-released this year for its 30th. So for its 31st anniversary, we got Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it never gets old. This is a fantastic film, and the title on the movie poster, The Return of the Great Adventure, is still appropriate in 2012 as it was in 1981. And sadly, this film was a lot better than a vast majority of films released this year, and this movie's 30 fucking years old, folks. That's how good this film is. Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace in 3D. This is the first of the converted Star Wars films into 3D, and I was very much looking forward to this film. And I gotta tell you, this is the special edition of this film. They used the CG Yoda from the Blu-ray edition. It's basically the Blu-ray edition film. However, they've converted it into 3D, and I gotta say, it does look awesome. A lot of people dog this film, they don't like it. I enjoy the film. It's got a very grandiose and epic and political feel to it. And, you know, that's missing from some of the other ones. And just, it's a different film. It's a different trilogy. You can't hate on the new Star Wars trilogy if you're a true Star Wars fan. They are completely different. I do prefer the original trilogy set versus the new ones. However, I will give the new series the props for what they are. And it was funny when I went to go see this released in the theater. This film is now, what, 13 years old or so, 13, 14 years old, which is, I remember in 2009, I saw a 10th anniversary book on the film, and I was like, wow, this is really kind of that old. And it reminded me back in the 90s when they reissued the special digital editions of the Star Wars trilogy. I was about that same age when the Star Wars films, you know, they were, you know, 10 years, it had been 10 years since I'd seen them in the theater, and I was going back, and I was a little kid, and then I was going back to see them as an adult, and I saw this with the kids watching it at the theater. They were real young when Episode 1 came out in 1999, and now they're in their college years, just as I was when the digital editions, the re-release issues came out in the 90s. So, I mean, it's kind of weird that it's that whole circle of life kind of thing. But it does look good in 3D. The lightsaber battles, the pod scene, the space scenes all look phenomenal. I'm waiting for it to come out on Blu-ray 3D. We still don't have a release date. It was supposed to have been out in April. It may come out with a Panasonic 3D glass set. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But we are getting episodes 2 and 3 at least next year in 3D, which is nice. No word on the original trilogy. All right. Ted. This is Seth MacFarlane's first venture into live action. Sort of. We've got a CG puppet teddy bear that he does the voice of. And we got Mark Wahlberg, who's always really good in films, and Mila Kunis, again, another great actress, smoking hot as well. In this film, it's funny, it's raunchy. This is an adult movie. It is absolutely from the creator of Family Guy, and it takes it that step further. So don't let your kids watch this. It's not for kids at all. Lots of drugs, lots of alcohol, a lot of sex. There's nudity in the film, and it's just not for kids at all. But it is a fun, raunchy comedy, and if that's what you're after, and if you're a fan of Family Guy, you're definitely going to like this film. They've even got the teddy bear. You can get an R-rated or a G-rated version of the talking teddy bear out there, and it's just fantastic. Love this film. Check it out, but don't let your kids watch it. Please be responsible adults. The Amazing Spider-Man. So here's the reboot of the Spider-Man franchise from Sam Raimi. So we got a new director, we've got a new cast, we got Garfield, Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, and he does a great job. I love his Spider-Man. He's back in high school. He's not 36 years old like Tobey Maguire is. He's, you know, a kid. He's a smart ass. He's intelligent. He builds his own web shooters. There was so much of this film done right. I think Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy was amazing. Dennis Leary as Captain Stacy was a surprise to me. I didn't expect him to be in the film. He does a really, really great job. But the downfall to this film, it takes too damn long to become Spider-Man. I don't know if it's just me or it seems like they took too long for him to actually become Spider-Man in this film. I'm like, come on, come on. Enough of this character development. Let's get him into Spider-Man and let's go. What did you guys think? It just seemed a little too early to have such a deep reboot. And some of the things with the reboot, they were a bit forced with his parents and Gwen Stacy working at Oscorp. And there were just a handful of things that just seemed really, really forced in the film. But overall, once he became Spider-Man, I did like it. And I'm looking forward to number 2 so we don't have to go through the origin story again. And just pick up and let's go. Looks great in 3D, by the way. If you haven't seen 3D, then you're missing out a lot. Him zipping through the city in 3D, spectacular. No pun intended.